This morning I'd like to talk about the blue chip consensus, which is the leading economic forecasters and in the US, and what they think about the US economy this quarter, next quarter, and for the next couple of years. I spoke about the blue chip consensus about 6 weeks ago, and that time I said that there was what they were suggesting was that we were going to have a first quarter of negative growth. Output was actually going to fall. In the second quarter, growth would actually fall. And I thought, hey, we finally got the US recession being delivered on time and on budget. But very disappointingly, the first quarter was way better than anybody thought. And the reason that the first quarter was way better than anybody thought is the American consumer was vastly more active, and that meant that as opposed to an expected growth in real private demand or real retail sales of about 1.5%, total sales went up by about 3.5%, and that generated positive growth in the first quarter. But in the second quarter, what it looks like, when we look at advanced retail sales, which are published by the Federal Reserve, that actually we do have a slump in consumer activity this quarter, and the real increase in demand is expected, private sector demand is expected to be absolutely zero, retail demand. And as a result of that, we do fall in the second quarter into negative GDP. But the problem is that after that, if you assume that retail growth continues at the average real quarterly growth of about 1.5%, we come straight out of that 1 quarter of negative growth, and then nothing. What happens is, for the next 2 years, the blue chip consensus suggests we've got 2 years of consistently positive but miserable growth in front of us. Now, that's interesting because the Federal Reserve has a similar view, but the numbers are different. In the Federal Reserve outlook, the GDP growth for this year is 0.9%, and next year it has growth of 0.9%. But in the blue chip consensus, growth is about 1.4% this year and 1.5% next year. So if that's all true, then somebody stole my recession from me, and I'll be looking for who did it. But it looks like this may be a soft landing. That's what's called a soft landing. So 2 years of miserable growth in which there is gradually rising unemployment in the US. There is downward pressure on inflation in the US. By the time you get to 2015, which feels an awful long time away, as 2025, sorry, which seems an awful long time away, you do get inflation down to 2%, but you do have unemployment at close to 4.6, 4.8%, almost 5%, and from that period you do have faster growth in the US economy continuing. So what does that mean in terms of markets? It means that probably the quarter we're in is the worst quarter, and the earnings that will be reported in the September quarter will be the worst in this cycle, and after that they will improve, unless somebody delivers the US recession that they're currently hiding from me.